I drive my car up to the lake as if there's someone to awake. I haven't been to bed for days, I live in a twilight haze. And I set my heart to the setting sun, and I hope that no one else has done it. And the drinks are never far, open up the bar. I miss you every single day. I wait until I snow your way. I hate the way I stray into these perfect days.
Yesterday's news, right? Obviously yesterday's, all kind of the same. Yeah, nothing else.
Great. Okay, Josh, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. You've got this little vintage clothing shop called Booteek.
I do, yep.
How long have you had it for?
Booteek sort of existed online first. Maybe I'd say the physical store has been around for almost 3 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I did sell stuff online before that.
Yeah.
So.
What were you doing that through? Just
actually Trade Me,
yeah,
which sounds kind of outdated, but it works.
That's where the people are, right?
Yeah.
That's where the foot traffic is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And there's some great retro stuff on there. Like there is seriously some awesome finds.
There's definitely a concentrated demographic that love vintage and have an endless wallet for vintage, especially if they're shopping nationwide on something like Trade Me. But yeah, I ended up opening the store, the physical location, I think almost 3 years ago.
Yeah, cool. And you started off half the size what you are today.
Yeah. So where I used to be a vintage store called Mihana, which was run by the City Mission, which I did love. It was a great shop. So I took over that space, and then I think within about 3 months I realised that I didn't have enough space, and I wanted a lot more.
Yeah.
So we just expanded into the space next door. The shop's relatively large now. It's sort of full circle as well, where one of the vendors that I work with is the City Mission. So they had this curated Mihana space before me. They've gone completely online, but I also stock their clothing now.
Yeah. So is that where you source most of it from?
No. So I like to think of Booteek as I call it a consignment collective. So it's I sell on behalf of about, I'd say, 60 different sort of resellers. So people that sell online. So City Mission is one of those people.
Yeah.
So they have an amazing woman called Rosie, and she runs Curate by City Mission. And that's like, she sort of vets the stuff that comes in the door. They get a lot of really amazing pieces. And so she's got I think it's the second level of where their Barbados store is. And she offers like a curated sort of range of that stuff, and you can make an appointment and go and visit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is sort of how this is how thrift is sort of going, or like the higher end sort of stuff. It's you're either getting people buying bundles for you, or you've got a personal shopper essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Flip.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's intense. I didn't know that you would be dealing with that many people.
Me either. I never set out to be.
That's full on.
Yeah. It's great though. It's great. It means when you have that many suppliers, the flavour of everything is different. So,
yeah, exactly. Because do you try to? So what's the store's general kind of theme? Are you trying to? What are you looking for in a piece to sell?
I mean, the ethos of the entire store is to keep thrifting accessible. So the largest demographic that I have is sort of, I thought it would be mid-20s. It's sort of mid-teens to early 20s. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just, I mean, I've been an op shopper. I've been a thrifter my entire life. I was brought up combing op shops with my mum. I know what's out there. I know what the environment is like, and I just couldn't believe I was seeing people selling some sort of like Disney. This was a few years ago, so like Disney T-shirts or something were selling for like $150.
Right.
And
yeah,
I just, I did a TikTok the other day that was just a short piece where I just said, I don't think there's any piece of clothing in the world that is worth being priced at $200 or more. Like, there's nothing you can do to a garment. I mean, there's,
So
I said that, and then the response was, what about wedding dresses? What about couture?
Right.
And I'm like, I mean, like,
true.
I mean, off the rack.
But generally speaking, yeah.
So anyway, the ethos of my shop is to keep thrift accessible.
Totally.
And it's so the majority of items are $50 or under.
Yeah.
The majority being $20 to $30 to be fair.
So there's a economic component, like the reason why someone would buy secondhand clothing, thrift or vintage. So there's kind of like maybe a cultural reason, an environmental reason, an economic. Yep. What else are those the three main kind of things that are going on?
I think there's a desire to. I think there's a desire to look different, or to not be wearing what everyone else is wearing. There's a real kickback against fast fashion and wearing chain store clothing. So, but I think a big driver is nostalgia, and I think that a lot of people are having this retrospective view on things because they're not happy with how the world is now.
Right.
I know that sounds deep.
No, good point.
I definitely, I'm sourcing clothing now that I was wearing at like 17, 18.
Yeah.
Like sort of skate T-shirts and really super baggy jeans and things like that.
Yeah.
And there is an element of nostalgia to that, and I look back. You always think fondly when you look back. So
totally,
the majority of the time. So
I do that as well, just on a personal level. Like in particular, I had a pair of shoes which I bought secondhand from Hunters and Collectors when I was a teenager, which were Vision streetwear, and they were a pair of red, kind of similar to they're called, what is it, shell cap, the front of the toe, and I bought them secondhand and I love them. And then 30 years later, I still remembered that pair of shoes, and I tracked down a new pair, and then I bought them, and it was to do with nostalgia, and it was to do with recreating that same vibe or whatever.
It's like a skateboarding wear. I just looked it up.
Yeah, Vision Streetwear was one of the first streetwear companies. The cool thing about Vision is that one of the founders went on to start a company called Blind Skateboarding. Blind?
I know.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's how Blind got its name, because the previous one was Vision.
Right. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, cool.
So young people... I have a theory as to why young people... Well, it's not a theory, but I do feel like young people have like natural beauty, right? They've got that youth, and they can really... Yeah, I feel like I have to be more thoughtful about what I put on these days.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was young, I was op shopping like mad, and I could... you can push the boundaries a lot more.
Yeah.
And you kind of... I felt like, I don't want to say me, but young people can make anything look good, often.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like sourcing and picking for the store means actively resisting how the clothing makes me feel. Like I'd say the period of that would be peak. The themes that would be peak popularity at the moment would be something that like the Jersey Shore cast would wear, or like Hulk Hogan, or like real bogany sort of t-shirt prints. like girls will be wearing like prints that you would see on Jersey Shore, or like just that sort of really awful mid 2000s rather than the early 2000s.
So that's where vintage is at. Is that
it is,
like?
Yeah.
It kind of feels like it's the cancer that's spreading. Vintage is just, how far has it gone?
Yeah.
So now we're up to the mid 2000, 2005,
and I think
which is fair enough.
It is.
It has to happen, right?
20 years is the cut.
Yeah, exactly.
Is considered vintage. So that's what, 2001.
Yeah. So as a teenager, were you enamoured by 20 years earlier, the fashion?
Yes.
Yeah. I think I was as well.
Yeah. I wore a lot of polyester.
Oh yeah.
But I would be wearing like old man pants with like skate shoes, or like I loved Converse One Stars, and that actually comes back to the nostalgia thing. I really wanted some not long ago because I just completely embraced the nostalgia, and like whereas if you saw a pair of the shoes, the Vision shoes that you had, would you buy them now, or would you look at them and appreciate them?
Well, I did when that was maybe 10 years ago. I repurchased them. Look, I've always got I think there's always going to be a place in my heart for them. It's not a look. There are moments of cringe, definitely. There's definitely moments of cringe, but
I think owning Booteek is an excuse for me to indulge in that nostalgia, and I would probably wear a pair of One Stars now if I could find them, because
it's kind of like it's a spirit, or it's a cultural kind of thing that you're just re-engaging in. And a lot of like streetwear and stuff like that is essentially, it's reinterpreting like clothing, like sportswear, like it's taking it from the sporting professionals and just wearing it on the street, right? And you're not like a superstar athletic going to the Olympics person.
No.
And then military clothing, that kind of made it switch over. Sportswear and I guess, and so it's putting it in a new context, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, soccer tops are huge at the moment. Especially for girlies wearing like a kind of oversized soccer top. Even I've got one. I've got like a 1992, I think it's Milan's home jersey. That one of my friends the other day said, "Where did you get that? Why are you wearing that?" And I'm not wearing it because I support Milan. I'm just wearing it actually because they were their sponsor at the time was Fiorucci, who's one of my favorite designers. So it's got Fiorucci written on the middle of it. I was like, that's the easiest path for me to wear a high-end piece of clothing.
I suppose bands are also, they have all their band merchandise and T-shirts and stuff. And you can take a look at some of the people wearing the band T-shirts, and you're like, you definitely have never listened to their music at all.
I have. I'm actually guilty of that, and my partner Corentin loves this story. Tell us. We were at a burger joint or something, and I was wearing a Black Sabbath T-shirt, and the guy that served us was like, "Oh, sweet T-shirt, man. They're a great band," and I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, you got to go along with it, right?
And Corentin turned around and goes, "Tell them your favourite songs." And I was like, I like this album. And he was like, yeah, good album. And then when we sat down, I was like, why did you do that? So I educated myself on Black Sabbath so I could wear that T-shirt. Yeah.
No, and because a lot of those things do show up in the fast fashion industry, don't they? I don't know. Did the band sell their license or something? Like, how did they?
I think so. There's a huge, like, even Kmart has like licensed merch for like Def Leppard and heaps of bands. AC/DC. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, why not? If it's a trend, why not?
Yeah,
jump
I guess
on
so.
it and make a few mil.
Yeah, well, it's good. It's good that you're able to. Like, I think a good business person is not always focused on what they want. You're able to see what is happening in the area of business that you're working in, right? And you're not just obsessed with producing something that you love. So, so you've got a lot of young teenage people all the way through to 20s.
Yeah, and I think there's probably a formula to it. I'm looking at what's in now and just thinking of what will be in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't want to stockpile things, but, it's somewhat formulaic where I'll be able to sort of predict.
So is it like a 20-year thing, you reckon? Or
I think it's faster than that now. Yeah. And I blame TikTok.
Oh, okay.
There's just this like micro trend over micro trend where, things are into, they're crossing like paths and, but that's okay. It's all right. I'm not, I've always set out with Booteek to not be, I'm not trying to offer something that's extremely cool. I love my shop, but the ethos behind it is to keep thrift accessible. Yeah, I still want it to have the essence of it being an op shop. I don't want to dictate to people this is what you should wear. That's not my.
That's cool.
I think that once this wave of thrift sort of subsides, there'll still be a place for something like Booteek, because it's just there's tried and true sort of, there's a culture out there that will have op shop forever and will op shop forever, and that's sort of where I'm heading. That's where I want my core audience to be.
Yeah, totally. Do you have shoes, footwear?
I've got like the odd pair of cowboy boot, but no, it's not. I find that shoes are a little bit more polarizing. Like, you could let's take a Black Sabbath t-shirt. Yeah. Anyone from a tiny girly who's size 6 to an adult man could wear that. But a shoe is not only secondhand, people are, there's a bit of polarization there.
Yeah,
people
it's a wee bit more intimate.
Yeah,
maybe.
It really is.
Yeah.
So no shoes at the moment.
No. Yeah, shoes, and it's incredible, like, the impact that they have on fashion and streetwear. Like, you can have a relatively plain outfit or not necessarily drab, but just sort of neutral, but then the shoes can be everything. Yeah. But I definitely imagine that they would be a difficult one to incorporate into a thrift shop like that. We had a customer that came in here, forgotten his name now, but he would make a point of heading out in weekends, going around and specifically going for the shoes, taking them home, cleaning them up, and then selling them.
Yeah, there's a huge market for that kind of thing. I just don't want to touch other people's shoes.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Tell us the story about the dead guy.
The dead guy?
Yeah.
Oh. So often if I find clothing that... the dead guy.
Sorry, that was a bit of a rough introduction, wasn't it?
There's probably dozens.
Yeah.
But the one that comes to mind is, I picked a shirt, actually a couple of shirts, and they had like an iron-on label in it. And so that's the hallmark of a piece of clothing that's come from a rest home, because they label everything because it all gets washed, and then farmed back out. And for some reason I Googled this guy, and he was quite a well-known sports person in Christchurch. Not a sports star, but someone that worked behind the scenes. Yeah. And a sports club had put a tribute up for him. And I looked at the dates, and he'd died 10 days before the day that I had this shirt. It makes sense, if he was in a rest home or something, they've got to move on and that. But it had gone from a live person's wardrobe to processed through an op shop, washed, picked up by me. Well, I've washed it, and then I've gone, there's a name in there.
Yeah.
All within 10 days.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I die tomorrow, I want everything I've got to just be out there for anyone to use. Because I want there to be a story. Like, you know, that's the quintessential thing about a true blue op shopper is if you say, hey, I love your jersey, you go, thanks, I got it from here and it was only this much.
Yeah.
Or I actually got it from this person and I bartered for this, or blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
that's what I want to be part of that story for someone.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty intense, but it's also, it's the circle of life, and that's just material objects outlast us.
Absolutely.
Always.
That's what he would have wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, I agree, Josh. I mean, if I die today, next week, probably my clothes won't be in an op shop, but who cares? I mean, personally speaking.
Yeah. I mean, that's across the board. Who cares, full stop, once you're dead. But you're right. It's crazy. Do you know that I think there's a stat, something like 40% of the clothing that is made is never worn.
Wow.
At the moment. So obviously fast fashion is huge.
Yeah.
But I looked it up the other day. 40% of clothing produced today will not go anywhere near a human body. It's crazy.
That's intense. Man, but that's just a reflection of our culture and where we're at, eh?
Yeah.
We're producing stuff, and we're producing too much stuff, it seems like, that we can even use.
Yeah. There's enough clothing on the earth.
There's a disconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a male-adapted ethos.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, just thought of that.
It's
but it
true.
is that ethos is not good.
Yeah.
Of production.
Yeah, you know, the
Produce.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, just destroy everything for money.
The worst, I hate seeing single-use clothing. So stuff that, like joke T-shirts that people would wear for Christmas Day.
Yeah.
What is the point?
Yeah.
What is the point?
Totally.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Nah, I know what you mean. I've definitely got probably a few items in my wardrobe that have been given, which I haven't worn much, or perhaps at all. I usually try everything, give everything a go once or twice. There must be like some sort of 80-20 rule for most. Oh, sorry, it's dreadful.
Wake up.
That's when I normally wake up. This literally happens every podcast. I don't know why I don't learn.
What, is it 5:59?
Yeah. What was I saying? Clothing not being worn. Yeah, I try and give everything a go. But is it an 80-20 kind of rule, kind of, almost? Would that be?
Yeah, isn't there some sort of like fact? I don't know. Let's just throw it out there. I'm pretty sure you only wear 20% of your wardrobe.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm constantly... So do you constantly go through yours? And
yeah. The great thing about this store is I have learned to let things go.
Yes.
I can... It wasn't until I'd owned the shop for, I think, almost 2 years where I was talking to someone. I was like, I'm quite cold, but I forgot to bring a sweatshirt today. And they said, just put one on in the shop. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
She goes, someone else has worn it. Why don't you wear it? I was like, I'd never even thought of that. So
True.
There definitely is quite a lot of flexibility with my wardrobe. I know to let things go.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain things that I've been looking for forever and I've found, so I'll keep.
Yeah.
But yeah, my wardrobe.
What are those?
I found this really nice, super soft black 70s leather jacket.
Oh, yeah.
It's like shaped sort of like a blazer.
Yeah.
But someone had painted on the back of it the gang name from Greece. So they'd worn it for a dress-up party or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I found this in a huge warehouse that's here in Christchurch where all the stock is $2. Mm-hmm. So someone had put that in the $2 section, and I looked at it and I was like, this is incredible. And I turned it around and it said wild birds or whatever, I don't know, whatever the gang is in Greece.
I don't know, but yeah.
I can't remember what it is. So there was a mission there for me to be able to remove this paint off the leather and that, which I managed to do. It took me a few days of just, painstakingly, sort of, But that's something that I'll probably keep forever because I like that silhouette of jacket. I think and it's super soft, super great quality. So yeah, that would be I've got a pair of 70s tweed pants as well that are like wool. Mm-hmm. Not everything I wear I don't wear everything 70s across the board.
No, yeah.
That sort of stuff seems to be made to last.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially if it's formal wear. So, like suit pants or jackets and that. It's constructed pretty well.
Yeah. Man, fashion is crazy. When I was kind of looking up different things, I got stuck last night looking at the sartorialist.
Oh, yeah.
I can never say that word right.
That's about it.
Sartorialist.
Yeah, and man, like I haven't looked at his stuff for years.
Yeah.
But going back to it now, it's just insane. It's so good.
Yeah.
I remember why it's so good. And yeah, looking at all of those different silhouettes and the textures, because he obviously travels the world. He's always in Europe or America or somewhere in New York. And man, clothing in New Zealand compared to, like, I don't know if he's ever been here. I wouldn't have thought.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You just don't see people on the street.
No.
Like, he takes photographs of people. Man.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And, the other thing that I see quite often is on Facebook is those history, photographs from history or whatever.
Yeah.
And you see people with their clothing.
Everyone's in a suit.
Yeah, and it's it's just fascinating. You can tell that it's really well made. And it's a garment. It literally lasts them a lifetime.
Yeah.
Some of those garments. It's amazing. Yeah. So I don't know if I've got any items like that. I did have a jacket that I kept for a long, long time probably from the 80s. It was a Troop. There's a streetwear brand called Troop, and it had a photograph on the front and the back of New York Times Square.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was really good. That was one which I found it hard to let go of that one.
Yeah.
But I did eventually.
I definitely dress for comfort. I don't have to dress up for anything, which is fantastic. But more so as I've aged, I just want to be comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you read any, do you read books on fashion?
Not really. Not on fashion, only because like that sort of comes back to it. I don't want to dictate to people what is on trend, because I'm not going to say I don't follow trends, but I don't want to be seen as the person that gatekeeps. Yeah. So fashion does interest me. I love the Met Gala and things like that, but it's more at an artistic level. It's not. I don't appreciate it as clothing or put it into an everyday scenario. Yeah. So yeah. I had a little t-shirt business for a while, making t-shirts. They were organic cotton before people knew about organics and stuff, and I dyed them with natural dyes and stuff, and they were really cool, but no one bought them because they were too expensive. Yeah.
So I've always had a love of kind of fashion and stuff. One of the books that I read was To Die For, which was about it had a cheesy pun about something about fashion wearing out the world. Is fashion going to wear out the world? Yeah, and that had a lot of the environmental aspects to it and that fast fashion type of thing. I'm not entirely sure when it really kicked off. Probably, in the 90s at some point.
Yeah.
But it was epic. And they were... Do you... Like, the seasons, the number of seasons that they were pumping out were, like, incredible.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
And all the subcategories in those seasons as well.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, well, that's right. There would be like 24 seasons a year or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was outrageous. Do you try and adjust your stock seasonally?
Only just adding in jackets and things like
winter
that.
And summer. Two seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in Christchurch.
Yeah, totally, right.
Yeah. I mean, it's the more I am enmeshed in this vintage world, the more I realise there's just always an opportunity for something to be worn for some reason. So
in a way that perhaps you haven't thought of.
Yeah, definitely. So,
that's cool, Josh. There's a quote, I've got a quote by a guy called George Carlin. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he wasn't it's not a quote about him. He was talking about that dude Maslow, the hierarchy of needs guy, and he said he was talking about the truly self-actualized person. They often don't identify at all with the culture around them, kind of that exists. And I think I'd imagine your customers. There's an element where they don't identify with the consumerist kind of culture and stuff, and they're making an effort to wear something that's different and reflects a different statement about themselves.
There's definitely an element of that. I see that in Booteek. The people that walk through the door often are not eccentric, but they definitely have that identity. You know, that they have an identity that's easily sort of identifiable. So I like that. I get to meet some incredible people. I never expected that. So I got into owning Booteek as a side hustle, and I never expected the flow-on effect from that to be a community base, which it's, you know, there's a large subsection of the culture that's queer or queer identifying, and especially in the alternative sort of scene, you know. So I'll have a lot of you know, queer kids come in, which is and they feel safe trying on what they want to wear, or they, you know, I've had young kids on dates at my shop, which is incredibly awkward to be around. It's so tense. But the fact that they go, hey, let's go here and let's look at things that we like, and that it's just great. It's simple, but it's really touching. So
that's right. Communities do spring up around businesses. And I think it is the sign of a successful business in a way that a community does, like, it does attract, a certain flavour of people, and then it kind of becomes a thing. And it's hard to sometimes, like a cafe, we have such a wide range of people. We have, you know, property developers or investors all the way through to sort of semi homeless, or, you know, kind of rough people, you know, tradies and all sorts. But it is cool. It's a great skill being able to invite all of them in, welcome them in, talk to all of them, and have a good yarn and stuff.
I find it difficult to actually engage a lot of people in deeper conversation. Not that I'm going that deep with someone that's buying clothing, but, you know, just...
No, you might be. You never know.
True.
I mean, we just sell coffee and cheese scones. We have some crazy conversations sometimes. I mean, you can tell sometimes the energy, the vibe that someone comes in with is like, oh, how's your day going? And sometimes they do open up.
And then you have this super quick, deep conversation, and you're like, well, here you go. Thanks. Bye. Yeah,
sometimes you might be the guy they want to offload to, just in that moment, and then know, I don't know this guy, I'll just offload. It's real interesting.
Yeah, it is. I think, hospo workers, retail, and hairdressers, I think, all get that.
True.
Hairdressers probably the worst.
Hairdressers are on another level, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, man.
Yeah, they really are.
Because I talk non-stop anyway, but to my hairdresser I talk
maybe taxi drivers,
non-stop.
some taxi drivers.
Taxi drivers.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Some,
Ubers these days.
Some.
Yeah. I wonder if the Uber people were expecting... I wonder if they knew what they were getting themselves into. Because there was like an established taxi driver kind of mould of people.
I'm not sure,
you know, that have talkback playing or sports.
Yeah.
And, you know...
I don't know the last time I've seen a taxi.
True.
Evolve or die. Evolve or die.
So what are you wearing today, Milton?
Just whatever I grabbed, just a t-shirt and some jeans, mate. It's exactly the same as you.
Congrats. Good.
And a hat. Oh, this is a cheese cutter hat. I don't normally wear this, but I picked this up at Akaroa.
Oh, really?
Nice.
$10.
Oh,
So-
sweet.
Cool.
Yeah, it feels nice. It's interesting, like buying a hat. Like there's a whole bunch of cheese cutters sitting in the basket,
Yeah.
and I wasn't looking in the mirror or anything, but I just tried them on. It's like, nah, this one's not right. This one's
Yeah.
Then this one felt, man, this is the one. This is feels perfect, and that's an interesting process. I think. Like, how do you know what stuff to buy? What feels right? That feeling it in your body. Feels
Often
good.
it is, eh?
And there's
Yeah.
almost a relationship with the item of clothing and myself.
Mm.
But if you're too in your head or something, you can't get that. So you've got to be present.
So are you now the guy with the hat?
Nah. Oh, right now I am. I guess we all are. to
We
some
all are.
degree.
We all are.
Cap,
We
cap,
are.
hat.
Yeah.
But now I'm a guy
not
with
at all
definitely a
something.
guy with a hat walking down the road, and it's like, oh, am I one of those guys now?
Yeah.
Guess I am. I don't know. But yeah, it feels nice.
It looks good.
Thanks,
It does
man.
look
Cool.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
I
It
think
feels good.
intuitively you picked the right hat. Haven't seen the others, but
It sounds like you quite literally were intuitively trying.
That's exactly what I was doing.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm quite intuitive when I allow myself to be, and that's I totally intuitively chose it.
I
At some level, you can say the hat chose me, or there's a relationship. No, but
Wow,
how
Melvin.
deep? I don't know how deep we want to go there, man. But
you've got to use that one in the shop,
yeah,
Josh.
yeah. This chose
that
you.
can get a bit scary.
I definitely shop for feeling and comfort now, which I never used to do. My relationship changed with my body really quickly. I had a gastric bypass. I've lost like half my body weight, and so beforehand I was wrapped up in how it looked, if it masked how I looked.
Oh, wow.
I just constantly wore dark or black clothing.
Yeah.
But now I can look at something and know it'll fit me. But also I just go, does this feel good? Is
Yeah.
this made out of a good quality material? Or, I don't have to worry about masking anything. So, yeah, I think it's a real privilege to be able to shop intuitively like that. To go, oh, this is a good quality product, or this feels good. Not everyone has that luxury.
No, and that's a really good point as to like some of the other drivers behind why people wear the clothes they do. It's not one that I've thought of, but I mean, definitely that happens. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll get. Yeah, you might dress more masculine, more feminine, more loose, more tight, more whatever. And I suppose after a while you can almost read people as to what they're wearing. One of the ones that I obviously always notice, which is just a brand, which was the Absinthe brand.
Yep.
And I felt that the people that chose to wear that brand, they were making a statement about themselves, but it was this sort of, it never, like I felt like I would never want to wear that brand. I felt like it was negative, like it was, it had a negative connotation about it. And when I saw it being worn, I was just like, oh man, that person is kind of absent. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not going to name the
you don't wanna
company,
get too
but the clothing, the sports clothing that they stock is called Active Intent.
Oh, right.
So you've got that intent to be active, but maybe you're just wearing it. I don't know.
Like Under Armour,
Yeah, yeah.
You've kind of got this, it is almost like Under Armour, the person's got an insecurity and they're wanting to protect themselves, and they're wearing this brand that's saying something about themselves that perhaps isn't necessarily true.
So at some level, we can flip that and say that the absent represents the absence of self-awareness or self-realization or something. I'm absent from being an individual, and I'm caught up in the flow of consumerism. I'm not even thinking anymore. And, you can flip that word absent around.
Yeah,
Or you
well,
can
that's
say,
right. It could be positive. You
Could
could
be a
use it in a
positive or
positive
negative.
manner.
Yeah, I'm just
but
throwing shit out there.
I think the people that I saw, like the demographic of people that were buying it, perhaps to me it felt like a negative thing. Yeah.
I mean, I do my best. Like I really rag on fast fashion. Because so the production of clothing is the third biggest industry in the world, but it has more emissions than shipping and aviation combined. So So it's a all round horrific.
Yeah.
But I try my hardest not to demonize the people that actually shop fast fashion, because there's always going to be people that go, I just can't afford this. I need to be able to buy this. Or particularly plus size people don't get a lot of options on stuff that looks good.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of manufacturers just size up everything they've got. So you'll put on a shirt. I remember this being, I was like almost 180 kg. If I would put on like a 4 or 5XL shirt, it would be 4 or 5XL, but then so would the arms, and your arms don't end up this big, you know?
Yeah, right.
So I don't demonize people that need to have it. No. You know, because there's always a place, and not everyone is in the same position or in the same journey, and in that realization of where their clothing comes from, or, you know,
yeah, look, I think
that's
that's
ethical chain that's behind where it comes from.
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of like food as well. Food isn't always, and let's face it, the culture or the business or whatever it is, sometimes it's working against us. Like, you know, in those countries where Coca-Cola is cheaper than water or whatever. Yeah. There's like an active intent of a corporation to kind of dominate and sort of steamroll. Totally. And I guess people are wanting to fit in, so often, you know, they'll choose the clothing maybe just based on wanting to fit in, subscribing to a certain sort of look or whatever. Yeah, that's intense. That's intense. I've actually bought an item of clothing to give you. It's it's a top.
Well, it looks like an acid wash, which I'm into immensely.
So yeah, I'll just hand it over.
Where did that come from?
Okay, so this is from my wife's grandmother. She was an incredibly stylish woman. She has passed away.
This is incredible. Are you sure you want to give this to me?
Yep.
Thank you.
So
tell me the story.
Yeah, so Peter's grandmother was a super stylish woman, and she would go to Australia a couple of times a year and buy items of clothing and stuff, and wear them. And she was always immaculately dressed, all the way through up and in her 90s. She was really well dressed. But it was from a different era, kind of. Like, it was sort of from the 60s and 70s, definitely. So I think, I don't know how much more clothing that we've got, but...
hey, I really appreciate
like stuff like that.
This is so incredible.
It's pretty...
Do we show it?
It's pretty full on. Yeah, you could show it to the camera, I guess. I forget that there's actually an audience.
I'm not even entirely sure.
So how would you describe that? Because... So that's the back of it. I think you're holding up there, Milton. No, back. Come. Yep.
I'm just trying to see the tag here.
Oh yeah. So it's probably from Aussie denim. She would have probably worn that with like a white blouse underneath.
What a stylish lady.
Yeah, she was.
These straps.
Yeah, those.
That is so cool.
Straps on the back.
That's cool, man.
That's incredible. That's so cool. Thank you so much. I love it.
Actually, now we're speaking of it, that denim thing, like streetwear, it draws upon a sporting kind of culture. It draws upon the military, and it also draws upon workwear, doesn't it? Like denim was a workwear kind of fabric.
Yeah. Didn't Levi's start off as tents? I think he made canvas for tents.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they manufactured heavy duty canvas for miners. Yeah. And then it went into workwear, went into jeans.
Yeah. It is a great fabric. It's an amazing fabric, and like you say, acid wash.
So what era do you think that is from?
This is definitely 80s.
Oh, that's 80s? Cool.
Yeah, I'd say maybe 1988-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the other thing, is I've never... it's made in Australia. It's cool. I've never got into the technical side of things. Like, I don't... There's a whole subculture around T-shirts, single-stitch T-shirts, and look for these tags and things like that. I just can't go that deep.
No.
I just, if I see something and I think it will work in the shop or whatever, it comes home with me, you know.
You're right. Yeah, and denim, like, is it salvaged edge denim and stuff like that? There's an enormous kind of culture behind that, and they're really into the construction and like the Japanese guys that will actually weave their own denim and stuff. Yeah. It's next level, eh?
Salvage denim's a different beast altogether. That's I've seen people that will wear in there, or they'll buy a new pair of salvage denim and then wear them in the sea.
Oh wow!
And then just wear them wet so that they mould to their body and then they dry. It's a commitment.
Yeah,
but and there's also people that really collect Levi's and things like that, and I think it's pre-70s Levi's have a capital E instead of a lowercase e on the red tab, and that's like one of the indications that you've got. Yeah, there's also other things to do with the rivets and certain sort of stitching in that to work out how old your pair of jeans are. I can't do any of that. I know there are some codes. There are codes on the tags of Levi's I can work out. But for me, I'm not really drilling down into this is a really rare pair of blah, blah, blah. It's more about reusing things that I look at, or people that I stock go, hey, this is really cool, or these are great quality. These would have been good for this, that, the other.
I think that's I identify with what you're saying there, because as a barista making coffee for people, I think baristas went through this massive snobbery kind of stage. Yeah. And I feel like the customers, someone that wanted like a vanilla latte or a caramel latte, often you see baristas saying, they get interviewed or whatever, and what's the worst thing, what's the worst coffee? And they'll say, shots of syrup.
Yeah.
And they just wreck it for everyone who just wants a sweet, sugary drink. Like
we all started on mochas with extra marshmallows.
Yeah, totally.
We all started on fluffies.
Yeah.
I guess that sort of snobbery comes out of an original need of just wanting to do something really well, do something really exceptional, but it's a danger of it moving to a snobbery. Yeah. I mean, if someone wants a couple of shots of vanilla and that's going to make their morning good, that's what they want.
Yeah. My coffee taste has really evolved. So my partner Corentin is big into coffee. He was a barista. And my order has always been, sweet, chocolatey, creamy, where his is quite green or bitter and black. But we've sort of, he's taught me a lot about appreciating coffee, and like the coffee we have at home is often quite, like the one we've got at the moment has some sort of strawberry note, the other day I sniffed the beans and I was like, I can smell the strawberry.
Yeah.
So I have definitely evolved past.
It's real.
Yeah, it is real.
Yeah.
It's
and
real.
the denim guys, what the denim guys are doing, it's
real.
real.
Yeah. It's great. It's impressive.
Yeah.
It's admirable, but it's not something I'm able to get to that level on.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah,
Did you check your pockets, Dave, before you hand it over?
Look, to be fair,
like any money in there, mate.
That little pocket is so small.
Yeah.
The others are just sort of random kind of decorative patches.
Yeah.
Often on the garments she chose, there were little medals or almost military sort of style kind of theme was coming through.
That's so cool.
I love old people who dress nice.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's just been a thing for them throughout the years.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
We definitely, there's a great movement for older women who will thrift and will come in monotone sort of all one colour, like pink or lime green or like, and I love that. I love that expression. And often they'll maybe wear a high-end like pair of shoes or a handbag, but they'll have, an oversized men's shirt from H&M, but they'll put like a knitted, thrifted something over top, or like that's what I love. I love the curation of old and new, and maybe cheap and expensive, and dressing
things up or down.
Yeah. And those people always love to talk about it as well. they'll go, oh, I got it from here, or I did this, or this was actually like this, and I cut this off. And I've got one shirt that I wear that came into the store, and it's like a plus-size lady's blouse. It's navy blue with white stitching, like a contrast stitch all over. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, if I had that cropped and then I changed the buttons to white, I would be really into that. So I forced Corentin to do this. So he sewed it, replaced the buttons, and it's like this really individual piece now that I love. Like if people go, hey, I really like your shirt, which happens a lot because it looks great. It's really cool.
So that's something you wear.
Yeah, that's something I wear, and that story comes out all the time. It's a woman's blouse. I just changed the buttons up.
Yeah. So that's upcycling.
Yeah. I think that's where everything is heading as well. There's this incredible store in LA, which is, I'd say that it's a hybrid model of vintage and repurposed sort of stuff. Like he does this sort of walkthrough of his store, and he's like, these bucket hats were towels from the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I have one stockist, her name's Kieran. Her business is Meadow Emporium, which Booteek follows, if you want to check it out. She makes tiered dresses and accessories and that out of vintage sheets, so like your Nana's floral 70s sheets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
She'll make full garments out of it, and it's cool. That's where I think we're heading in terms of the evolution of thrift. Things will be repurposed.
Yeah, because that then adds on a whole nother dimension of uniqueness and difference.
Yeah.
Because, there's a lot of, I guess, with the internet, because when we were young and buying secondhand clothes, the internet didn't exist.
Yeah.
We couldn't search for something random. One of the things that I do love about our current culture is TV shows. I think I'm wearing the hat, actually. This cap is worn by a... are you familiar with Reservation Dogs?
Yep.
Yeah. So Willie Jack, the character on there, has this hat.
Oh, really?
So that's one of the things that I love about, the internet and stuff. So if you're watching any TV show that you like, whatever it is it Stranger Things or something or other, and you like an item of clothing, there's websites that devote themselves to telling you what it is and where you can buy it.
It's simultaneously amazing, but also ruins a lot of things. Like, so we went to the movies and saw that movie Nope. Jordan Peele. It's like I think it's called Nope.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the characters in there, Keke Palmer, she has an incredible wardrobe, and I was like, I want that T-shirt.
Yeah.
So in the movie theatre, I'm surreptitiously Googling. It turns out it was a 90s... do you know the band Jesus and Mary Chain?
Yeah.
It's like and the thing is I pull it up, and I'm like Keke Palmer, which is the actress's name, and then it immediately populates with the T-shirt because everyone's looking at it because it's a really cool T-shirt. It kind of had like a cartoon graphic of like almost like Wile E. Coyote sort of vibes. And so then I click on a link, and then it directs me to AliExpress where someone's done a crappy knockoff of this really rare, like the T-shirt she's wearing would it be real in the show? In the movie, they probably paid hundreds of dollars for it, but. It's great in one aspect that within 5 minutes of being distracted from in a literal movie theatre, I was able to find what I wanted. Yeah, it does. You do lose that. It's like being younger and waiting to tape a song off the radio that you've been But now we just can beat boop and it's there.
Yeah, but I think upcycling might. Offer an alternative to that, like create your own. And
totally.
Yeah, your own style.
Yeah. My one of the girls that works for me in store, Chloe, I'm watching her just sort of delve into her creative side of things. And she's screen printing T-shirts, and
nice.
She made some sort of like denim skirts for us in the shop where she repurposed like an old pair of Levi's that was a different shape that she could unpick, add in some denim, so it would be like a sort of like a maxi skirt. So it's great to see those kind of people. She's so talented, and she's such a sweetheart to have in store. This is actually like a little Easter egg for her to make sure she's actually watching the whole thing. No. It's...
denim's awesome. I used to do the old inserts
same.
in the sides.
How old are you?
Good question, 47.
Oh, cool. Wow, you don't look 47. I'm 43. So, I definitely did inserts too.
Yeah.
I made Mum get the sewing machine out and cut up my jeans.
Yeah, that's where I got into clothing and stuff. It was kind of like the rave culture, the dance culture thing, and I don't know. I guess I just couldn't afford the all the new stuff. And things.
But I remember inserts being really, really big for a moment, like maybe for like a year or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, what are inserts?
Where you would take a tapered pair of jeans, because baggy jeans were in, and so you would take a tapered pair of jeans and then you would just add a piece of fabric, just in where it tapered. So you would end up with either flares or really straight baggy jeans. Yeah.
I remember it I remember wanting them and my mum sort of scoffing, because I think when she was a kid, the same thing was out, but it was like the same thing was in. I mean, but it was like 70s, like Bay City rollers. They wore I think they had tartan inserts in their jeans. I remember seeing that a little bit too, like different colours and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I definitely had denim with denim, and I had huge cuffs.
Yeah, cuffs.
Yeah.
Yep, totally. Yep.
What happened to that Chloe bag, Josh? I watched on the Insta Reels. You found that Chloe bag?
Actually, so my staff member Chloe, I gave it to her.
Oh, perfect, mate.
Because I couldn't verify whether it was real or not. It was a real leather bag,
and it had that
had a serial number,
the number in it and everything.
Yeah. But I think a follower So the great thing about doing those videos is you get tons of interaction. But usually privately, people go, "Hey, I've got the same bag. This is not quite right. It's a really good knockoff." Or then someone was like, "That's 100% a real." Everything leaned towards it was real, but I just couldn't verify it. So if I can't verify it, I'm happy to sell it as a dupe in store. But I just didn't want to put it out there and be like, "This is a real Chloe bag. It's worth, $3,500."
Oh, right.
It's super cool that Chloe's got it.
Yeah. She was like, "Can I have it?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely."
Well,
she gets a lot. Chloe is actually, her wardrobe is probably worth quite a bit of money now. She's got a lot of things from me that were high end that I don't feel comfortable selling.
Yeah.
I had a good friend give me some real Burberry stuff that her sister wore in the early 2000s that I would be able to sell for a mint, but I just, it comes back to the ethos, and I guess the ethos is aligned with my personal values, is that I just don't want to be putting clothing out there that is hundreds and hundreds of dollars in value.
Yeah.
The value comes from things like quality and that, but I don't think that I need to attach a $250 price ticket to something that I've thrifted for $2.
Well, it's in the eye of the beholder, So, like value.
Yeah.
And look, I would be prepared to pay a lot of money for something that potentially wasn't worth a lot of money. So,
true.
Yeah, just based on the.
But that's where the value is in the perception, really.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Totally. Yeah. So it's kind of it seems a shame when it goes the other way and something's enormously expensive just because.
Yeah.
Something
that I bring up on my Instagram quite a bit is the brand White Fox, which is a fast fashion.
Yeah.
I think it's Australian. It's kind of problematic. I think the founder. I don't know. I haven't really researched it, but it's basically like along the lines of your Absinthe brand.
Yeah.
But it's just branded like leisure wear. Like
That's
hoodies
right.
and trackies.
Yeah.
And I think they do other stuff as well, but that's what I see everywhere is this White Fox clothing with big bubbly lettering on it. And
yeah, totally.
I don't know. I don't begrudge people that want to wear that because it's comfy or because it's in their price range. That's probably the thing that irks me, is that it's, it was probably manufactured for, literal maybe $1. And then it's sold for $140 or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't even know the prices of their stuff, but yeah, that's what irks me.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's not healthy for the human race, really. Yeah.
No.
Like, ultimately. But, yeah, you can't blame the individuals.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to admit that I guess I contribute somewhat to the problem because I just exist as a clothing apparel business. But I like to think there is some sort of, like, we're trying to close the loop somewhat.
Oh, totally. 100%.
It's just the amount of stuff that exists is insane.
Yeah.
Like, you'll get, there's this discourse around vintage stores taking all the good stuff from people that actually genuinely need it. Whereas, I was talking earlier about that there's a warehouse in Ferrymead that sells $2 items. And if you look out the back, they have huge bales. They'd probably, this room would fit sort of 4 bales kind of thing. They've got like hundreds and hundreds of bales there that they're processing. Mm. And I think we're in a relatively small town in a relatively small country. You then shift that to Texas and it's 500 times as large. Yeah. And the consumerism is insane when you think of it on that level. I can't even fathom when I see the peek behind the curtain at this warehouse. Yeah, it's just overwhelming. That is everything that they have to produce. They have to sort of process, and that's probably a week's worth of stuff, and it just goes out the door. Yeah, it's a problem. It's a massive problem. Once you know that, though, it's I never will be the type. I'm a Zen sort of thrifter, so I don't get there super early to get the good stuff. I don't run to racks to get to there before other people. I'm sure there are other resellers out there that know who I am. I don't know other resellers very well, and I also don't get to acknowledge it because I don't wear my glasses when I'm thrifting. So that way I can just focus and I don't see other people picking stuff. But again, I'm at peace with it because I think there is so much stuff that what will be for me will be for me. Totally. I don't need to quickly grab that. It's an ocean by the sounds of things. Yeah. It's more than unreal. An ocean. It's a galaxy. Yeah, true. It's universe. Insane. And more is produced day in. Maybe that's what we should send out to the universe, just a massive big lump, a bale of clothing, create a new planet. Yeah. instead of sending out some, I don't know, technology. Imagine that, and there was some sort of alien race that just used all out, crappy sheen offcuts and turned it into... Well, they turn up in the UFO with, all this boutique gear on. Yeah. Or worse, they're wearing like Christmas t-shirts or white box. Christmas t-shirt. Take me to your leader. Sweet, Josh. Wow. I was talking to a couple of rough people the other day, and they will like truncate the whole process of clothing, and they'll jump in the clothing bins. Oh yeah, do clothing bin diving. It's quite a skill. I don't know how they get in there. The thing is, though, that the average donation is pretty grubby. So I try my hardest to wash everything that comes into store. We've got a washing machine out the back in our back room. So me diving into a black metal coffin, essentially, is not my bag. I found some concerning things in pockets before. So, What sort of things, Josh? So many hankies. The first couple you just, but then I just wash my hands a lot and use hand sanitizer. Lots of combs, some really nice pens. I found some marijuana before. Just, it's crazy the things that people donate. I found a car key the other day that actually belonged to a friend. Because he donated the pants. Yeah, classic. He was like, I lost this 4 years ago. So, that's great. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, Josh, for coming in and telling us all about Booteek.
You're so welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Here's the breakfast menu. There it is.
Nice.
Cool. I'm gonna open up the cafe for the day.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for
Appreciate
coming
it.
in.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's cool.